lost her mind. I don't know how else to say it. We're LDS. She thinks she's a resurrected being and a God, and remember the 144,000. Jesus is coming next year.
Brainwashed, evil, or both, Lori Vallow Daybell has been dubbed the Doomsday cult mom. There are questions, though, about whether she truly believed what she was saying or used her beliefs to justify her actions. Two former cult members weigh in.
I became a fanatic. I thought nothing about lying when I would recruit people.
Thanks for joining us here on Law and Crime. I'm Angenette Levy. Lori Vallow Daybell's late estranged husband, Charles Vallow, her former best friend, Melanie Gibb, and others say that she believed that she was an exalted goddess. These beliefs really seemed to take shape and take hold after she met Chad Daybell in the fall of 2018. This really made me wonder, did Lori Vallow Daybell actually believe these things? I spoke to two former cult members who now study mind control to get their thoughts. Dr. Christine Marie was a Mormon who was lured into a cult many years ago that was an offshoot of mainstream Mormonism. She was fortunate and got out quickly. Do you believe she was truly a member of a cult, that she had been indoctrinated somehow?
Absolutely. She has all of the signs or indicators of being in a cultic relationship, even if it was just the two of them, her and Chad Daybell. And I do believe that it's possible that Lori had what I call hyper-religiosity. Actually, it's a psychiatric term. I had that myself when I experienced intense religious beliefs, and those religious beliefs were abnormal and interfered with normal functioning. It's not that hard to get off on the wrong track when you have somebody weaponizing your deep religious beliefs.
Do you believe that's what happened here? I mean, the timeline appears to be that, and it appears from everything we know that Lori Vallow Daybell was, devout her entire life, or felt, a closeness to this religion, to Mormonism. She meets Chad Daybell in the fall of 2018. 2019, January, her husband, Charles, is calling police, trying to get her committed because she believes she's this exalted goddess. So do you think Chad Daybell weaponized her, or were they possibly just a bad mix when they got together?
Well, I do believe that it's possible that she poured fuel on the fire of Chad Daybell's, unreasonable system going on there. So it's possible that as a duo that it just, exploded into something. But I believe that what he did, I'm not an expert on the Daybell case, but in all cults, there's generally a special mission. I was lured by a special mission, which was to prepare the world for the second coming.
Dr. Christine Marie says that religion is a strong motivator for many people, and it's used to manipulate others.
There are many groups that use the end of the world or the second coming of Christ as a time-sensitive special mission. And I believe that Lori felt she was lucky to be part of this mission and this great plan. When you're part of this, it's like you're part of some elite, superior situation compared to those who reject the teachings. And even if this special mission is not real, it still has a massively influential pull on the people, especially when they have been prepared culturally for something like what Chad Daybell did. It seemed as if he took the core of mainstream Mormonism and then twisted it and modified it and added his special recipe to it that made a perfect combination for Lori to want to be a part of it.
Dr. Steve Hassan founded the Freedom of Mind Resource Center. 47 years ago, he was lured into a cult. It's the Unification Church. Members are often referred to as moonies. It was created by Sun Myung Moon in the 1960s.
I was a poet and I wanted to teach English creative writing. That was my life goal at that time. And my girlfriend abruptly dumped me. And I was starting the spring semester, sitting in the cafeteria at Queens College. And three women carrying books, dressed like students, said, "Can we share your table with you?" And they said they were students. That was a lie. I asked them even, I remember asking, "Are you part of a religious group?" Because I wasn't interested. They said, "Oh, no, not at all. We're just a group of students who are concerned about events in the world and pollution and war and poverty. And we live together from all over the world because we share this common ideal." In other words, nobody deliberately joins a mind control cult to give up their free will. It's a deception, either outright lying, withholding vital information, or distorting it, and then an incremental series of social influence techniques that are applied.
Do you think because you were in kind of a bad place that contributed to this? The girlfriend dumped you and you're feeling low and sad, and
Yep.
it's a bummer. You're a young guy and maybe you're vulnerable, and that kind of allowed you to be sucked in.
There's no question that was a big feature. And the women were cute and they were flirting with me. So, but there are situational vulnerabilities, death of a loved one, illness, graduation, losing a job, divorce, breakup of a relationship, life cycle events for all human beings. We can be more vulnerable to some confident, smiling, friendly person, especially if we're attracted to them.
Being sucked into a cult and its belief system is one thing, but actually carrying out killings takes this to an entirely different level. So how does it happen?
What these religious predators do is target the vulnerabilities of people. Now, this does not mean that people are somehow weak-minded or anything like that. What a vulnerability is a desire. Very often, like for example, if somebody has the desire to feel special, to feel part of a special mission, the desire to feel loved, or the desire for better health, the desire to help others, the desire to change the world or to serve God in a certain way, the desire to help their family, these are vulnerabilities. Now, this could be any one of us. We all have desires to do what is good. So when we meet a charismatic person who comes in with the perfect solutions to help us accomplish our desires, now we let our guard down a little bit. And the thing about cult leaders is that they are very, very good actors who never break character. They flatter with promises of the afterlife. They teach positive things while also doing horrible things. And the average person who does not understand antisocial personality disorder, or how a sociopath works, they don't imagine that person who is behaving in such positive ways on the outside and saying, teaching about the scriptures in some profound way, it's hard for people to imagine that level of hypocrisy, that this was really just a scam to be able to take advantage of my body or of my situation or my money. But that is what we need to know. It's not about a flaw in the person who believes in this leader. It's about the leader who is the predator and all of the manipulative techniques that he uses.
The important thing I want to share with your listeners is that the American Psychiatric Association's DSM-5, their Diagnostic and Statistical Manual, has a category under dissociative disorders. It's number 300.15, where it explicitly talks about brainwashing, mind control, and cults. and talks about a disruption of identity. So what I want to say to your listeners is, if you think about Steve Hassan, son of Milton and Estelle Hassan, who wrote poetry and played basketball and liked girls, when I got recruited into the cult, a pseudo-identity was created in the image of Moon, where this identity was dependent and obedient and suppressed the real me.
Many cults have made headlines over the years for all of the wrong reasons. The Sudanese Liberation Army, a political cult, abducted heiress Patty Hearst in the 1970s, and Hearst helped members rob a bank. More than 80 people died, including 20 children, during a standoff between David Koresh and his followers and federal agents in Waco, Texas in 1993. While some cults, such as the Moonies, have larger followings, some are much smaller.
Well, it's not about the numbers. It's really about the special mission. Jim Jones had a mission to create a society where everyone was equal. That was appealing. He wanted to, help the poor. He used Bible references about distribution to be made to everybody as they had need. David Koresh claimed he was the Messiah. He wanted his followers to prepare for the end of the world. Charles Manson claimed he was Jesus and that the murders would speed up a race war, again, to usher in the end of the world. Heaven's Gate, even NXIVM, their mission was to make the world a more ethical place and bring more joy into people's lives. So what was Chad's mission? Was it to prepare the world, the people of this earth, for the second coming of Christ? So it doesn't matter how big it is or how small it is. In my situation, it was a very small group, let's say about maybe 10. And then it turned out that none of them, other than myself, actually believed in the mission. They were all just imposters and accomplices to exploit me. So whether Chad believed his own teachings or not, I don't know, but it does appear that Lori believed them. And I would also say this: no one joins a cult. It doesn't look like a cult. They join a positive movement that they believe will help forward a cause that is important to them.
As far as Lori Vallow Daybell goes, was she actually indoctrinated into a cult by Chad Daybell?
It seemed to me that the profile of Lori prior to meeting him was not someone who would kill her own children at all. So in my mind, when I'm analyzing undue influence, she may have had issues. She was married multiple times, but was she a good mother? Did she have love? Did she have empathy? Was she, taking care of her kids? Everything I knew about her was yes. So then the issue is, what happened in her mind that she came to this extraordinary, grandiose, narcissistic mindset? And it did mirror, to a certain extent, my own brainwashing and mind control experience, because I believed similarly that the world was satanic, that it was okay to kill if God's will said so.
So how can any of us realize when someone is trying to control our thinking and manipulate us?
My advice would be to use your critical thinking. Just because there is a coincidence doesn't mean it came from some divine being. Coincidences feel naturally divine. We want to say, oh, this is a sign that this happened. So I would say, take time to evaluate. Don't be floored or swayed by a person's kind personality. Really look into the facts. And if you're looking and concerned about a family member, watch for identity change, because there's a way to unfreeze a personality by breaking them down, change them into the person that the cult leader wants them to be, like a reflection of the cult leader.
Lori Vallow Daybell hasn't put up much of a defense to date, and it's not clear whether or not her attorneys will claim that she was brainwashed. So far, they haven't. For Law and Crime, I'm Angenette Levy.